guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all the love and support I received in my last video, and if you have not seen it yet, feel free to head on over to my channel to check it out. Well guys, I'm so glad that you enjoyed my ACOTAR fan theories from last week. There have been many comments talking about various thoughts and opinions. Many of you did not like what I had to say, which, let's be real, is not that surprising because what I said was very controversial. Many of you had many thoughts about what the fan theories really meant to you and what they had to do with. Again, my fan theories were in no way to upset anyone. Hopefully, we can still all be friends and be chill about the ACOTAR universe. I know how touchy people can get about it.
They should have wiped off that awful mascara.
I think she looks beautiful.
She's doing the best she can, Seuss.
Whoa! Touched a nerve there.
Those are just some of my fan theories from some of her books and just things that I thought would be cool. But if you haven't seen that video, go check it out on my channel. But this week's video, we are doing my favorite books so far this year of 2024. So my favorite books so far this year. Now, I was going to do my 5-star reads so far this year. But the problem is that I haven't had very many 5-star reads this year. And I'd like to put a pause on that, put a little pin in it. Because when I say I haven't had very many 5-star reads this year, I mean I haven't had very many 5-star reads from books that have come out this year. Granted, though, we're only 5 months into the year, 6 months in June, very, very soon. So we're only 5 months in. So not a lot of books have come out, but not a ton. And so I only have a few books that have actually come out this year that are 5 stars, but most are 4.5 to 4 stars. So I wanted to share just my favorites. These books are all incredible, all amazing, all by some of my most favorite authors and new authors and people that I never thought to even look at and discover. These books are all fabulous, so I cannot wait to recommend them for you today. Also, as a quick side note, some of you might know from one of my previous videos, I mentioned that I am going on a trip. I am going to be out of town, gone away in Europe and across the ocean and the seas, in Greece and Ireland and other places. And so I'm taking a long trip, so I will be a little bit more sporadic with my posting. I am going to try to film some videos in advance so that for you guys, so that you can still be receiving content from me. So that's just what I wanted to let you know, that if there is a week where I miss out on a video, I'm so sorry, but hopefully I'll be able to have videos prepped in time before I leave for my trip, so that you guys can still have content while I'm gone. But anyways, let's get into this week's video, my favorite books so far this year. Let's get started. The first one I want to talk about is no surprise to anyone who knows I'm very much in my cowgirl Western era. We have The Outlaw Noble Salt by Amy Harmon. Now, this book dropped very recently. It was only less than a month ago. Outlaw Noble Salt dropped on the planet, and it is about the outlaw Butch Cassidy. Now, if anyone knows anything about me, is that I love a Western. Recently, I've been very much I've been in 2 eras. My 2 eras that I'm claiming are vampire era and Western era.
Listen, stranger, this town ain't big enough for the 2 of us.
And my Western era that I'm claiming is all because of this book, Mr. Butch Cassidy, Mr. Noble Salt. I'm obsessed with this book. Amy Harmon is quite literally one of my most favorite authors in the entire world. I've done several author videos about her, talking about her and how much I love her and her whole discography. I know it's not what it's called, but her whole repertoire of literature that she's written. She's such a talented author and writes so many varying types of literature. And I've just been really in my I want a cowboy romance. I wanted something very Western-y and
knocks you off the horse, but it keeps you coming back. Love is a cowboy.
Gunslingery, and this literally just fit the bill, and I ate it up with a fork and knife. The Outlaw Noble Salt is about, obviously, the famous outlaw Butch Cassidy, and essentially he wants to go straight. He's done with the bank robbing and the outlawing. He wants to go straight, but it's almost impossible for him for the path that he's created for himself. So he essentially kind of tries to go down undercover, but not really. He ends up meeting this woman who, her name's Jane Toussaint. She's a famous singer in America. She's a famous singer in Europe, but she's in America. He meets her and her son and somehow gets entwined with this group, and she hires him essentially to be her bodyguard. And his past keeps coming back to haunt him while he's bodyguarding for her, and there's a romance. It's just really lovely. I feel it's just so well written and so heartful and so thoughtful. I just felt so many feelings. It's so interesting. I went to the book signing for this book to meet Amy Harmon, which was life-changing. You've seen the photos. Insert here. I literally, like, it changed my life. It was so amazing. But, like, she talked a lot about, in the book setting, when she was talking about the book, she talked about how, like, when she is writing a character, she really gets into the headspace of a character. And when she was writing about Butch Cassidy, she just said she felt so much regret and so much anger and so much, like, bristly, like, contempt towards this man. And yet she felt so much sorrow and, like, grace and, like, for wanting to, like, give him some peace. And, like, I really felt that while I was reading this book. This book made me so, I was so, like, sad for him. I was sad while I was reading this book a lot because I really just felt for him and his plight. And I just absolutely loved this book. Like, it's seriously amazing. If you guys are craving a westerny romance full of, like, gunslinging and outlawing and just, like, all the good things about, like, that part of, like, time in history, please read The Outlaw Noble Salt. It is so good. 5 stars right here. The next one I want to talk about is brand new on the market. And if you've been on Book Talk, you've been seeing this book everywhere. A lot of people have been saying that this is the best book of the year. And I would like to join in on that. I would like to join in on the chorus for Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. Now, Miss Leigh Bardugo, as we know, is very well known for her Grishaverse. She did the Shadow and Bones trilogy. And then, of course, she has the Six of Crows duology. Six of Crows, in my opinion, is a flawless duology. It is one of the best written duologies of all time. So incredible. And of course, she's written a duology, or I don't know if it's a trilogy or duology, but as of right now, I think it's gonna be a trilogy of the Ninth House, like very like modern urban horror, essentially. But this was a totally different change for her. I feel like this was a totally different like switch for her. We have The Familiar. Now, The Familiar takes place during, like, Spanish Inquisition times. It's about a young scullion maid who essentially has, like, special gifts. She is blessed with these special gifts where she can perform small little miracles. She's in this very poor household that she works in. She's treated very poorly. And essentially, the lady of the house, like, sees her perform a little miracle and essentially, like, brings her up into the ranks. It, like, ends up elevating her status, but, like, at what cost? She's worried that people are going to find out about her Jewish heritage, which at this time, Spanish Inquisition, very dangerous to be found out as anything other than, like, a practicing Catholic in the church, like, practicing Catholic and Catholicism, doing mass and doing all the things. Like, it was very dangerous times. This book, and of course, the main part of it, obviously, is that she meets this man who is working for another man who, they call him a familiar. And he's this man who's essentially Julian St. Angel, who's going to help her. Now, the book, I've been dying to talk about this book. Like, literally, I finished it, like, last week. And I literally was like, I need to film a video where I get to talk about this book because it is so good. First of all, the writing is exquisite. Leigh Bardugo never misses with the writing. It's always so well written. This book is unbelievably well written. It's just beautifully written, and you just feel it so deeply in your soul. It's poetic, it's like beautiful prose. It's just, you're following this story and you feel so deeply for this character. Like, I'm obsessed with this book. Louisa is an extremely compelling young woman. She's just like, she just wants more from her life, and she's like, if she refuses to accept that she's meant for less.
I want more.
And I love that this book is, like, so, like, pro her and pro of just, like, her winning and, like, discovering her powers and, like, growing in them. And, like, I loved the darkness of this book and the betrayals and, like, to be honest, I loved learning about the Spanish Inquisition. It was very interesting because, like, I sometimes, like, forget, like, those parts of history are just so dark and so deep. And, like, during this time, it was just so brutal if you were discovered as, like, anything other than, like, Catholic or Christian, essentially. Like, it was so dangerous. Like, if you were practicing, like, you were a heretic, you were named for witchcraft, you were burned at the stake. Like, these people essentially had to prove their holiness and their, like, devoutness. And if they couldn't prove it, then, like, they were literally burnt. And, like, a lot of the times, like, in the Spanish Inquisition times, like, it wasn't even that they had to, like, prove it, essentially. It was that, like, they essentially had to confess. Like, when they were caught, they had to confess, and if they didn't confess to the correct thing, then they were tortured until they confessed everything. And a lot of times it was, like, not even real things. Like, it's just as insane to me that we lived in a world like this, full of fear and, like, anger and, like, all these things. And so I love that, like, you see these moments, like, in all this fear and anguish, like, these bright lights of, like, Louisa and Julian, and, like, I'll be honest, I really enjoyed the book. I just feel like Leigh Bardugo, it's just so well written. It's so incredible. I'm, like, blown away by how good this book was. It stuck with me ever since I finished reading it. This is a 5-star read. Like, honestly, probably the best thing I've read so far this year. Like, I'm obsessed with this book. It is literally incredible. Everyone needs to go read The Familiar. The next one I want to talk about is our Viking romance. We have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I absolutely love this book. I love Danielle L. Jensen. I love the way she writes. I love this book. A lot of people have had a lot of criticism to say about the book, and they feel like it's a little too quick. I do agree with that. That's why when I rated this one, I only gave it 4.5 stars. I took off a half because I felt like the pacing was like a little bit too quick, and I felt like the romance was a little bit too quickly brought to fruition. Now, I will say though, I thoroughly enjoyed the Viking moments and the very like Norse mythology of this book, and I feel like the next book is going to be insane. Like, I cannot wait. Danielle L. Jensen is just like one of my favorite authors, and I highly recommend this one to everyone who's like very much in for like, who's wanting like low-key like forbidden romance vibes meets like warrior status. Like, it's just so fun, so epic, very quest-like, which I love. I love the questing of it all. It's just really fun. Essentially, the book is about a young woman named Freya who is, she's married to this really crappy dude, and she just dreams of becoming a warrior one day. Essentially, her husband betrays her, sells her off to the Jarl or the Jarl of this kingdom. I don't know if it's Jarl or Jarl. Essentially, the king of a kingdom or of like a small group, like a clan. And essentially, she's forced to reveal her secret, like in a battle, that she has a drop of goddess blood in her, and she's a shield maiden, and which means that she has she is the ability to essentially like predict other people's like future, and that she is essentially there's been a prophecy that the shield maiden, whoever like has the shield maiden, essentially will like come to power and have the highest power and be like the most powerful king of all of the kingdoms in like this like realm. Whatever. Basically, Freya ends up like getting sold out to this Jarl or whatever, and she meets his son Bjorn, who's like this essentially like sent to protect her, and he has to like watch over her and be like her bodyguard essentially. But then there's like a budding romance between them. Very cute, very sweet, like live, love, it's everything. This book is just full of like all the good things. It's full of like hot warriors, it's full of fighting, it's full of gore, it's full of romance, it's full of tension. Like, I just love this book for all of the like enemies to lovers tension vibes that it gives. This book is really, really fun. I cannot recommend it enough. 4.5 stars for A Fate Inked in Blood. The next one I want to talk about is one that I have not stopped talking about. We are talking about Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Guys, I am sorry. Bride is going to become one of those books for me that it's just like, it's just taken over. It's scratched an itch in my brain that I didn't know existed. Like, it's just going to become one of those books for me where I'm just like, anytime I need to recommend a quick read to someone, I'm like, Bride, read Bride, read Bride, because Bride is that girl. She is that enemies to lovers that you want. It is so amazing. It's arranged marriage, opposing people being forced into arranged marriage, opposing species forced into an arranged marriage, vampires and werewolves. Hello. It's an urban fantasy. It's so fun. I just like cannot talk enough about Bride. If you are in a reading slump, like I am telling you, if you are in the reading slump of your life, like you just cannot read another book to save your life, read Bride. It will get you out so fast. Lo Morland, the leader, the alpha werewolf leader of this clan. Oh, he's so sexy.
I am burning with desire. I am bursting and burning with desire.
So sexy, and I love him. I love him, and I love the tension between him and Misery. Oh, I love Misery. She's a gorgeous vampire, and like, listen, as I stated earlier, I am very much in my vampire era. I am claiming the era, and I loved this book. I just cannot stop talking about it. Like, it's just that girl. Like, she's that girl. Who's that girl? Who's that girl? It's just... I'm telling you, I'm like, Ali Hazelwood, please, for everything above, quit your day job, okay? I only want you to write paranormal romances, okay? Please, just quit your day job and write more paranormal romances about Lo Morland and Misery or other people like them. Please, for everything, please. Like, quit your day job, girl.
God, I come before you as a loyal, subservient servant. Holy is thy name.
Bride was a 5-star read. Honestly, one of my most favorite things I've read this year so far. Like, I don't even care. Like, it's one of those books where you don't want to give it 5 stars because it was so easy, and yet it makes you feel so alive. And so everyone needs to read Bride. It's so good. Go read Bride. 5 stars across the board. It's incredible. And now, last but not least, the woman who cannot be stopped. The woman whose name I never shut up about, who I can't seem to keep out of my mouth. We have Miss Sarah J. Maas's House of Flame and Shadow. Now,
It finally came! The big one.
I want to talk about House of Flame and Shadow because you guys know I've given my reviews deeply. I gave my full book vlog of reading the book for the first time, and I gave my in-depth analysis and review. That was about 4 months ago, okay? That was about 4 months ago or 3 months ago, whatever. I've had some time to sit with my thoughts and opinions about House of Flame and Shadow. And here's what I want to say. I loved this book for a lot of reasons. But I will be honest. It's not Sarah's best work. It honestly might be her worst work.
You lied! Liar! 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 Liar!
Oh my gosh, that kills me to say that out loud. That kills me. It physically hurts me to say that out loud.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
I'm sorry. I don't think it was the most well-written thing I've ever read by her. Now, am I a Sarah J. Maas girl to my heart and soul and my core? Yes. Do I love her more than I love any other author on this planet? Yes. Was House of Flame and Shadow one of the best things I've read so far this year? Yes, I would totally include it in that group. One of the best things I've read so far this year that has come out this year. Absolutely. Because of the hype, because of the journey that we were on, because it was the conclusion of the trilogy that we were reading, because of the romance, because of the action. Yes, I will include that. But I will say, now that I've had some more time to sit with it and sit with the feelings, I just don't think it's the best thing she's ever written, and it hurts my feelings to say so. There were so many plot holes. There were so many moments that just fell so short for me. So many romance parts that fell so short for me, especially between Rune and Lydia. They're the bane of my existence at this point. I seriously cannot get over. And I honestly just kind of expected more. And it makes me wonder what her original copy, because as she stated in several interviews, she wrote the book and then decided to completely scrap it and rewrite it. And I want to know what the original story was. I want to know what that original story was. Because this, I feel wasn't it. This feels like something that her editor messed with a little bit too much. Maybe. I don't know. But regardless, I would love to go further into depth of my feelings about House of Flame and Shadow, but I still think it's an amazing book and I still love it. I think now that I've had some time to sit with it, I would give it 4 stars because I still think it has the impact, the vibes, the romance, the moments, the explosion, life ending, life altering, ending that we were waiting for. But I have problems. And I don't like to admit that I have problems with anything that Sarah writes. I really don't, because she's my girl. And I don't like to admit that I have an issue with this book, but I really do. I have issues with it. But I still think that it's one of the best things I've read so far this year that has come out in the year 2024. So take that as you will, but I seriously still recommend anything that Miss SJM writes. And I even recommend this book because it is a great epic conclusion to an incredible trilogy by an amazing woman who we all know and love. So that is all the books that I have to recommend for you guys today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe to the Live in Literature YouTube channel. Guys, you are getting so close to 600 subscribers. So please tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone around you to subscribe to the channel. And we will be doing a 600 subscriber giveaway, of course, of books and maybe something else along with that giveaway. It's going to be super, super fun. I'm so excited. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. I love you. Bye.